Patricia Simmons is the newest member of the Real Housewives of Dallas on Bravo Television. She's also an entrepreneur and loves to give back to her community. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with Deanna one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Deandra.
Yes, hi Quintin, so glad to be here.
Likewise. You know, we're sitting here in your second home, Charleston.
Yes.
But obviously Texas is your first home. And obviously we've been heartbroken by what's been going on in Houston.
Oh yes, it's horrible. I know. In fact, I'm just watching Minute to Minute in the hotel room and seeing those poor people and just being so grateful that we're, north of Houston. I mean, like 4 or 5 hours. But I mean, the Texans that are, the state that I know, we were Republic. I always like to mention that to everybody. Texas was Republic.
Right.
So we are very, I would say, we love our nation, but we also love our little Texas nation.
Right.
And we band together in times of trouble. And you see people out there with their own boats, with their own materials, helping people, because there's not enough time for the federal agencies to get there or the local agencies to get there, not enough people. So they're doing it by themselves. People helping people. I'm so proud of my state. I'm so proud of the fact that when you think about Texas, you think about hospitality. You think about people that band together. You think about people that pray. You think about people that love one another. And you see it firsthand in something like Harvey. We saw it in Katrina. We saw people getting out there, just taking matters in their own hands because there was nobody else. There wasn't enough assistance at the time. So.
And thank God for social media.
Oh yeah, thank God. Because think about last time when Katrina happened. There wasn't the social media presence that we have now. But now people can, do a video and send it out on, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever, and then somebody can get it and somebody can be rescued much quicker. And I'm really grateful. Although I don't, social media is my friend and my enemy. It's probably same with you, right?
Yeah.
In this case, it would be a friend, but sometimes it's my enemy. So.
What is your secret to dealing with that?
Well, I asked a lot of people before I started doing the Real Housewives of Dallas. I said, what, do you suggest? And they said, well, don't look at the bad stuff. But it's a little bit hard because I do my own social media.
Right.
So it's hard not to see the people that say the nasty things and the trolls and all that. But I just kind of take it with a grain of salt. I know who I am. I know who my friends are. And I'm a very grounded person. So I'm in a great marriage. I have a very successful business. And this is what I would say to people. I said, well, if being a bitch means being a successful businesswoman, being happily married, and doing things for my community, then I'll take that moniker. Then you can call me that. Because people just say, well, she's so straightforward and she's, I'm not gray. I'm black or white in everything I do. So I'll take that if that's what that means. I get things done, Quintin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk to you more about that. But let me talk to you about Monday, August 14th. Obviously, that was the premiere of Real Housewives of Dallas. Where is your state of mind when you think of the show?
A little bit of trepidation because we actually, I don't know how much you know, but we don't get the episodes until about 3 days before they air. And the reason we get them at that point is because we have to write our blogs. So we have to see what they are and then write a response to the show. And then the fans go onto BravoTV.com and read the blog. So you never know when the day comes. It's Thursday. It's always Thursday. You're kind of like, So today I'm like, what's the show going to be? I don't know how it was edited. I don't know. I know it came out of my mouth. I can control that, but I can't control how it's put together to make the show. So on the 14th, we had a party, Leanne, Locke, and myself. We had a really fun party at Highland Park Village. And we had seen the episode, and it was wonderful. I think the difference with this show on the first season, the first episode, was they did show a little bit more of the new housewives than they normally do. I appreciated that because, you want people to get to know you. And I believe that Cameron and myself got some time and people got to know us and started forming their opinions, good or bad, but at least they got to see us. So it was, it was kind of like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then the 14th came like, okay, it's on. Do or die. I've done this. I got to get with the program and get on with it,
Yes. And you talk about, obviously, the seasons. Last year was the first year of the Real Housewives of Dallas. I'm wondering, what episode in season 1 that told yourself, hey, I got to be on television?
Well, okay, so we were actually asked last season to do it, and I just didn't feel timing-wise because I was, have my businesses, and then I was chairing certain things,
Right.
and I felt like if I was going to chair organizations, luncheon or gala, I
Right.
needed to tell them ahead of time
Sure.
because I didn't want them to say, I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Even though we weren't filming,
Right.
it's just one of those things you just want them to be
Right.
accepting and okay with it. So this time I had also been chairing 2 things when we came on board this summer, but I went to those charities and it was enough time, and I said, you can make the decision if you don't want me to stay. And they both said, no, we'd love for you to stay, and they're very gracious, and I'm very thankful. That was Salvation Army and Cancer Blows. So, it just was a matter of timing for me, and then I wanted to see what it was going to be, because if you've read, the first season was actually a different show.
Right.
And then they all of a sudden said, okay, let's make this a Housewives.
Right.
Well, I just felt like if you were filming the whole time, not for a Housewives show, and now all of a sudden it's a Housewives, I wanted to see how kind of that was put together. And then, of course, Leanne was like this, nudge, 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 please come play with me.
And from what I read, apparently she wasn't going to be on the show unless you were going to be on there?
That's Cameron. That's
Cameron,
Cameron the blonde, yes. The one that makes pink dog food.
Right. Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, you always remember the pink dog food.
Yes, yes.
So Cameron and I we actually live, Quintin, I want to say 2 blocks from each other. Families know each other,
Right.
Family friends for a long time, and we both were kind of, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? If you do it, I'll do it. And we did make that decision together because I felt like Cameron was somebody that I could relate to. I knew the other girls. Leanne I knew very well. The other girls I didn't know as well. I knew Carrie. But I knew Cameron and I would be safe together. I didn't want to go there as a new person and have no ally or, Leanne was my ally, but she's also the villain. So you don't want the only person that's your ally to be the villain. You're always having to cover for her, or, make up for what she's done. So it was nice to have somebody come along that I had known for a long time.
And obviously, the Real Housewives of Dallas is a part of your life now. Who's Patricia Simmons when you take off that television mask, the business mask, the philanthropist?
That's an interesting question that you asked me. I think there's so many facets to me. What people say when they meet me, yes, I'm straightforward. We talked about that. Yes,
Right.
I get down to business.
Right.
I will tell you how it is, but I also my mom says I have a very good heart, and I love to help others. I love to help people. My goal with this whole thing, this being my platform, is not only to create a business empire with Hard Night, Good Morning, and Ultimate Living, but also to be able to really do more outreach with my philanthropic work.
Right.
I'm currently involved. I'm on the board of UNICEF of the Great Plains region, so that's very important to me. Children are extremely important to me. Domestic violence, women's causes. My husband and I are getting ready to travel to Iraq, and we're meeting with refugees over there, and most of the ones I'm meeting with are the women and the children that were displaced by ISIS or even taken as sex slaves, unfortunately. And so they've been rescued. We'll be talking to them. I'll be telling their stories. And see, this is something that wasn't open to me before until I had this show. So people can say, why would you do that show? But I knew if I did this and I had that platform that it would open up so many doors for me. I don't have children. So for me, I put the world's children first, and other women that are having difficult experiences. Like, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, so I talk about that story. I shared that with Salvation Army last year. I actually just shared it on another interview, and people don't know these things about me, so I'm kind of slowly peeling the layers off, but I really believe I can make a change and help people in the world by telling my stories, telling you, I've been there. I haven't been to anything like what these women in Iraq have been through, but I know what it's like to be in a situation where you're victimized. So I just think I have a lot to do in my life, and that's really, if you want to know who I am to my core, it's about helping others, having a voice for others, and God gave me the gift to be able to share my caring and my heart with people and to tell their story to the world.
Iraq is a place that obviously your husband's familiar with. He was in the military for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
The #1 photographer, from what I understand. Who is Jeremy Locke?
So Jeremy he's my husband. He's the most amazing man, but he's also somebody that he went into the military, and because he was in college, and he says they politely asked him to leave because he was, having fun, partying and all that stuff. And after a certain amount of time, his parents were like, we're not paying for this anymore. You got to go do something else. So, I mean, when he did that, he got out of that, he went into construction, he did all this stuff, and then his dad was in the military. So he thought, I'll go in the military and I'll just do 4 years and be an imagery processor, because his mom was a nurse practitioner and his dad was an engineer.
Wow.
And so he ended up, they were bringing in back then film, and he was working and seeing all this film, and he thought, well, where is this coming from?
Right.
And so he met photojournalists. He said, well, is this something that I could do? And he fell into, this career by chance, serendipity completely.
Right.
And once he picked up a camera on his own and started teaching himself, then his photos started kind of telling stories, and people started noticing his talent.
Right.
And 21 years after that, he retired from the military because we met and fell in love, and he moved to Texas. But my husband can tell a story through a camera lens, and now he's doing video as well, like almost no one in the world. I mean, he tells it in such a compassionate way, and he's brilliant at putting stories together. He spends hours and hours of editing, and he asked me, and I wish I had as good of an eye as he does, but he can really tell a story of someone's life that will make you want to read more, be a part of it, do something about it, whatever you need to get out of it. He can make you feel something about that person or that experience.
And the first meet, from what I read, you guys married in 2014?
Yes, my dad died in 2013, 2014, yes.
Wow. And you actually met Jeremy at a DC hotel in Arlington, Virginia.
Yes.
You were there, he was there, you went downstairs to get some wine. Talk to me about what happened next.
Well, my products are sold at Whole Foods. So I was at a Whole Foods Meet the Maker tour where you go around and you get 2 hours at each store. Yes. I was tired. I just wanted a glass of wine. I didn't want to talk to anybody or do anything. And I went downstairs, and this gentleman, not Jeremy, he always says, not me, not Jeremy, he said, well, may I take your photo? We're doing a photojournalism workshop. And I said, not really, I'm tired. Do I have to do that? And then I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then he said, well, may I buy you a glass of wine? And I said, no, I think I'm just going to go to bed. He said, well, I really wanted you to meet these photojournalists. They're the ones that are doing this workshop. And I didn't even know what he's talking about, And I'm like, look, guy, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. And then he said, well, let me buy you the glass of wine because I did this. And then he said, these are the guys over here that are part of our workshop. So I kind of went like this, and I saw Jeremy. I thought, okay, I'm not so tired anymore. Buck up, girl, So I went and sat down at that table, and I started talking. And we talked a little bit, and I was in a relationship. Jeremy was not married, hadn't been married in 8 or 9 years, but he had a home in Annapolis, Maryland, home in South Carolina.
Yes.
His ex-wife was living in the home with the kids. They were estranged. So we did not see each other. That was in March. That was my birthday. Wow. He was my birthday present.
Wow.
Never contacted each other. Nothing happened. Literally, I gave him my card and I said, do not contact me. I'm in a relationship and I am not that kind of person. I'm not a cheater.
Right.
I said, whenever I decide that I'm not going to be in a relationship, if that's what decision I make, I'll contact you. And I don't call men. So this is a big deal. So that went on, I think it was in June or something, and I broke up with my fiance. I knew it wasn't working, but it was just kind of, long relationship, and you just want to make sure that, it was the right way to end it. And so I went back to DC for a Whole Foods holiday trip, or holiday tour, and I texted him. I said, I'm in town. I don't know if you remember me. I sent a picture.
Oh.
In case you don't remember me, this is what I look like.
Yes.
And I said, would you like to have a drink? He said, no. He said, I'm on vacation 8 hours from DC, but I will drive back 8 hours to take you to dinner.
Oh.
So when he said, I don't want to have a drink, I want to take you to dinner, and I'm going to drive 8 hours, I thought, okay, this guy kind of likes me. He remembers me. Right. So we literally had our first date and fell in love that night.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, you guys obviously have a home in Dallas, and you obviously have a home here in Charleston. Crazy question, but what is the biggest difference between Charleston and Dallas in your mind?
Oh, wow. Charleston is a tourist city. First and foremost, Dallas is not really a place where you go to be a tourist, except for because you saw the TV show and thought it was something that it's not. But I will say that Dallas is now, we have the largest arts district in the United States now. So it's really nice. We have it's very cosmopolitan. But Charleston, to me, has that charm. That Southern charm. You guys have a TV show called Southern Charm, but it is very charming. It's very quaint. There's great restaurants here. Yes. You've got the beach here. Right. You've got the bridge and what's the big pineapple called?
The waterfront park.
Yeah, I love the waterfront park. It's so pretty. And So you got a lot of things to see and do here. Plus you have the Civil War history.
Right.
So, and the ghost tours are so much fun too. I love those. I love a good ghost story.
Okay.
So there's a lot more history in Charleston, and I love the architecture here.
Sure.
So there's lots to see and do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to what you said about the business earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Bravo also said this quote, eager to take control of the family's business. Once her mother finally retires, DeAngelo struggles to face the fact that her mother might not be ready to hand over the reins. Okay, tell me, where did your eagerness status came from?
Well,
Come from?
yeah, I was an only child, as you know, I am an only child.
Right.
Grew up very domineering mother. She is the matriarch, kind of like the woman on Southern Charm. And
Right,
I think
Patricia.
Patricia, yeah, she's another Patricia. So she's rules with the iron hand, and she was very ambitious. She did not have to work, but she grew 2 businesses into multi-million-dollar businesses on her own. That were hobbies essentially. She became, the first business was in fashion, and then she became ill with cancer. And so when she got cancer, she decided to make that a huge empire to help people. And she traveled the world and learned about herbal formulas, met with herbalists, nutritionists, crazy wacky therapies we went to all do in Mexico and Germany, and I mean everything from stem cell therapy to Laetrile to all kinds of different infusions. We've done all of it. And so then she found out about different products, and green foods were the most important thing that she decided that she used to heal her body. So we started making a green food product 21 years ago, and that's still our best seller. And we were one of the first people to make a powdered green drink. So we still do that.
Okay.
And then we have, other vitamins and things like that came out of that. And then I started the skincare. So I made the skincare for her line 20 years ago, and my line in 2008, which is Hard Night, Good Morning. I started my own skincare line. But as far as being ambitious, I was always very competitive. Sports is not really my thing. So I was more competitive with my mind, say, intellectually competitive.
There you go, I like that.
If you're not good at sports, you got to figure it out,
Sound
right?
right.
So I love to learn. I'm a voracious reader. I am somebody that just, I want to do something with my life. I always have wanted to do something with my life. Of course, having a mother that was so successful is very daunting, because trying to live up to that, or you think you have to be as good as, you don't have to be as good as, you just have to be the best you. I mean, and I'm not my mother, and my mother's not me. So I have to be the best person that I can be with my talents and skills, which are different than my mom.
I was just doing my research right up until this interview, but apparently it started on Christian television.
Yes, it did. And I've seen some people that don't think so much about that on the different blogs and things, because people can be very judgy about stuff like that. But the reason, and I'll be glad to talk about the reason that we started on Christian TV is because, so when my mother had cancer, she started her business. She didn't have a computer, no education, nothing, zero. And she got a little beat up desk and a 1-room office and a phone. And she just had bought 1,000 cans of this product called Green Miracle from this lab that decided that they would make the 1,000, which is a low, order amount. And so she thought, how am I going to sell this stuff? And so she started calling people on the phone and saying, I've got this stuff you get to buy. And she sold all of them, okay? Then my grandfather was involved in the Christian church, Pentecostal church, as he was a prophesier and a minister. Right. And so we grew up Pentecostal, Baptist, and then Baptist. So I had dancing in the aisle, speaking in tongues, all that stuff in my church. Okay? We really got with it when I was growing up, So my mother then became an ordained minister. And so that's what happened was she thought when she was selling this, how am I going to sell this? Who am I going to sell this to? And so she knew the Roberts family, Richard and Lindsay Roberts. And so she called over there and she said, do you think you could have me on as a guest? And that's really where it started, is she was a guest telling her story of being a cancer survivor with her one little product. And then we grew it into a business where we went to lots of different, networks all over. And the second largest Christian network in the United States at the time we were on, and we're on DirecTV. And it was a revenue share program. So that way, we shared they shared in our profits of what we sold. So it was, it's because we didn't know anything about buying TV time, and we were just like flying by the seat of our pants here, and it worked. But so we just thought, okay, well, look, if we share this revenue with you and we can sell this amount of product, you want to do that? And that's how it was, and it worked. And people are very critical of that because Christian television has its own, I don't know, persona, or people think certain things about it, and I can understand why. Trust me, I've been involved in it 20 years. I could write a best-selling book, but just because we sold our products on there, it was just the right, place for my mom and I to get started. And it gave me my TV legs. I mean, I started at 20-something with her on, selling on Christian TV, so I'm not afraid of the camera.
Right.
Luckily, I didn't have to my training wheels have been off for a while. I didn't have to go through that phase with Real Housewives.
Right. And you talk about her, obviously, in dealing with cancer, was breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
My mom dealt with the same thing back in 2009. Tell me, what was your secret to really keeping her afloat and keeping her not focused on that issue?
Well, it was weird. It was a weird time in my life. I was going off to college. So literally, I was 18. It was March, my birthday month in 1987, and she had cancer, and then I went to college in September, August. So I was, it was kind of hard for me because it was a transitionary time in my life. Then my mother became ill with cancer. Then we started traveling to these different places, and there was a lot going on. And as an 18-year-old girl, you don't really know how to be a comfort and a help. And I don't think I was really, to be honest with you, a comfort or a help to my mother. I think I just was kind of, cancer back then, people didn't talk about cancer. It was the big C, and it was quietly, I have cancer. I don't have cancer, I have cancer, So that was a different time. And back then they automatically did mastectomies, they didn't even do lumpectomies, different whole program. So it wasn't something, I don't think I really knew how to help my mother. I was there as a rebellious teenager and kind of angry because my mother was having cancer and I was going to college and this is my time and why is this happening at the same time? Looking back, that's probably what I was thinking, to be quite honest, because, you're a hormonal girl and things are changing in your life, and then you're being the only child, and my mother was my mother and my father, and, it was a hard time.
And you talk about him, it was 2013 when he passed away.
Yes.
And I understand from my reading that you basically call yourself daddy's girl. Who was your father?
So he was really a humble person. He was very bright. He went to West Point at 14 years old.
Wow.
And he didn't make it because he hadn't gone through puberty yet. So if you go through college and you haven't even, and your voice is still, it sounds like a girl, and then, in a military school. So he came home and then went to East Texas Commerce, East Texas State, and then got a math and physics master's by the time he was 20. So he was really involved, and he worked at NASA, and he was involved in those programs. And then later on, well, not that later on, he joined my uncle, and they created their businesses. And the first thing they did was buy one drugstore, and then they bought the whole chain, which was Ward Drugstore, sold to Jack Eckerd, and that was their first, big deal. And they kept on doing that all through the 80s and 90s, and they ended up with about 63 companies. So most natural resources, titanium. We had a rice plantation. We had, National Lock and Key, Keystone Steel and Wire, NL, which is National Lead, all kinds of different things. So it was varied,
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, describe to me the following one word: bodybuilding.
Oh, gosh. You know what? That is all over the place. And it's so funny that, you're saying one word, right?
Oh, go for it.
One word, oh my God. Do you say, what do you want me to say about making it one word, or is it just why would I do that? Or?
Oh, I know it's used to be one of your passions, probably still is, isn't it?
Well, I will tell you this. I did for a time period, got into that because, me being so focused and everything, it was something that I just felt like it was good for me. It got off my steam and my stress.
Yes.
So now, you're going to love this. I go to this place in Dallas, and it's been around since over 54 years. I don't think they've ever changed anything in 54 years. Has no air conditioning. Has a boxing ring. Has old equipment, and my trainer is 88 years old.
Wow.
And he's been there ever since the beginning of time. I think Jack Ruby actually worked out there.
Right.
So we're talking about a long time ago. Yeah. It's my dad probably worked out there at some point. I don't know, but it's one of those things. There's not very many women. My husband actually goes sometimes with me, but what I do is I box. I do a weightlifting routine with the older gentleman that owns it. And then I do he also puts me through some different cardio routines throughout the gym and everything like that. But I like it. It's what it is now for me. it's like the misfits, you know, it's like a group of misfits that come to a gym because it's all walks of life. I mean, there's nothing similar about these people at all.
Right.
So, and we are friends at the gym, and we will probably never meet in real life. But at the gym, we have this little camaraderie. It's like the dysfunctional, functional family that works at the gym, you know, together. So, and Doug is now like my daddy because he's, you know, older and he's full of advice. He loves to give political advice. I can imagine.
Yeah, that.
I don't say anything.
Right, just listen.
Yeah, Switzerland.
Yeah.
So, and he's funny, he's cute. He cuts little articles out of the Wall Street Journal for me with regards to skincare and things like that. You might want to do this, Sandra. You know, he's very cute. So I still do that. But the place I used to do bodybuilding was this gym in North Dallas that, I don't know if you remember, Rachel McLish, who was Miss Universe at one time. She was working out there. And so I trained with one of the trainers that was working out with her. And that was years ago, I want to say, probably in the 90s. It was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Cooking in one word.
Cooking, one word. Fun.
Wow. Gypsy and Dixie.
Love.
Deandra Simmons again.
Tenacious.
Your future.
Bright.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Well, Deandra Simmons, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. I did more than one word on bodybuilding. I'm sorry about that.
I learned a lot.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and I just love to sit down with you and have this time together. Thank you for getting to know me and me getting to know you.
Likewise, and let's do this again.
I would love that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.